Hello aspirants. In this video we'll talk about the ESE interview preparation strategy and how I scored 132. There are some few tips and tricks that I would like to share with all the aspirants out there so that you can prepare well and do well in your interview. Let's start. So the first thing is the source of your preparation, because source matters. The content that you choose to prepare, it is very much important. And the first of all things that you need to keep in mind is obviously the internet, because internet will have all the recent news that's in current affairs and all that stuff. It will be very important in that case. And some state PSC books. No, this is something out of the box because people usually don't suggest such things, because I am doing it because you must be aware of your home state. In TAF, when you fill everything like belonging from which state, which district, and whatever, they can ask the panelists, they can ask any question from your home state, any question, and it could be any question. So it should be in depth with your knowledge of your home state. It will be better to prepare to get some PSC books like state civil services. You can get it, and you can refer internet for the same also, but this is preferable because it has focused point wise some important, it will be easy to search. Next will be transcripts that you will find from previous candidates and aspirants. I'll also make a separate video after this about the transcripts of my interview, and you can have a look and feel how the interview goes for UPSC, and this is also important. Next will be getting updated from the current news, like newspaper and magazines. Current affair magazines are available, you can refer it. And a newspaper, you should read it daily because it will play a very vital role, the obvious technical. So you should be thorough with the theory, definitions, and most important applications, because they will ask this no matter what. You should be known, and you should be aware with the current trends that are there in the current industry, and you should be thorough with it. This is very much important applications. Now once your source is sorted, now it's time for DAF. It is time for DAF. So what happens in DAF is there will be different aspects of DAF. You must have filled, you must be having a reference copy by now, and you can refer it, and you can see these things are there. Hometown, education, and personal info. These things will be there. Now hometown, I have mentioned this specifically because this is like the panelist, the chairman of the panel, interview panel, he is very much interested in asking such non-technical questions which they are expected a candidate should have the knowledge of. You are belonging from Delhi, then you should have all the knowledge of Delhi, period. Now about your hometown, you should have information and knowledge about the famous personalities of your hometown or your state, what they have done, if they have any significance in the freedom struggle or anything, or any new personality, emerging personality related to the engineering field, if not related to politics or anything. This is important. Next is the places. Some places of importance, like why that place, XYZ place, is famous for what happened there, did any famous personality stay, visited there, something like in this respect. And definitely the current news, like what is going on currently, and if that location is in news for some reason or the other, you should be thorough with it. Next comes the education part, your college and school. The name of the college and school here also becomes important. Say you are from DAV, say Dayanand Anglo Vedic, so even the name Dayanand becomes important here. You have to know everything about him. They can ask anything, any word could be taken as a question. You can not leave any single topic here. You have to be very thorough with your preparation. So regarding that, and now once you have to read about Dayanand, then about Arya Samaj and everything. I think you know what I'm trying to get here. So same with the school also. The location of the college and school is also very important. You have done your BTech from IIT Delhi, then you should know about Delhi. You have done from ISC Bangalore, you should know about Bangalore and the state. So this is how the question can be framed and arise. Like what the things that are going, the current events that is happening in that state. Although it is not very important, it may be rare that they can ask, but you should not take any chances with UPSC because they are known for their unpredictable questions. You should be prepared for it. And last but not the least, the final year project. They will ask about the final year project, not usually, but if you have represented created some unique project that you have specifically mentioned in the TAF, or that is that for that you have represented your college at a national level or say international level, then it becomes very much important. And for people who do not have a job, and for those people it also becomes very important. And regarding the personal info, your name, the meaning of your name, any famous personality with the name, your title. Say your title is Singh, so they can ask about any famous personality with the title Singh. It could be Rajnath Singh or anyone. So you should be prepared and well versed with that thing also. Your family, income, background, everything should be known to you. The birthplace of your parents, your village, why is it famous for, the name of your village, everything nearby, any project, any government policy changes in that location, everything you should be thorough with it. So this is something that you should cover about yourself. Next topic that you have to be thorough when you are referring to the TAF has to be a job. So if you are currently working, for people who are currently working, this is applicable. So the job experience, what kind of job you do, exactly should be to the point. Like you were doing X, then you should say I'm doing X. You don't have to travel to YZ to reach to X. That is the most important. You should know that. And again, the knowledge of the vertical. Say you are working in the railways, then you should know about the railways thorough from A to Z. Who is the chairman of the railway board? Who are the ministers and everything. If you're in some circle, say you're in the Eastern Railways, then you should know about the Eastern Railways, any new technology that is being implemented, where is the headquarters, how many zones, everything you should know about the railways for that thing. So this becomes again very important. Next is the personalities. Again, any famous personality in the railway, any changes in the ministry, any person who has done any work in a significant way that has affected the railways. So these things should be known to you. Again, the next part comes is suggestions for improving the sector. Now, being an engineer, it becomes obvious that they will expect that you would suggest some things, you'll be very observant of things that are going on, and some things that you like to give to the society. That is the aim. So they can ask for how some basic questions like, say, if you're working in railways, like how would you like to improve the railways through mechanical engineering? Being an IES officer, how would you contribute to it? So these questions could come directly from this. Next, coming the new technology. Say if you are in railways, so some new technology is related to say mechanical engineering, some new equipment being manufactured here. If it is not being manufactured, if it is being imported, like why it is being imported and all that, everything could be asked. So be thorough with it. And next is the government policy. So go through the budget, railway allocation, the funds that have been allocated for different aspects of the railways, and everything, be thorough with it. So this is something that you should cover about your job aspect. Next comes, if the aspirant is not employed, so in that case, the job preference that you give. Now this thing is applicable for both people who are working and not working, because they can ask for your preference irrespective of if you are working or not. Say you are given your first preference as railways, although it is not here this time. I'll give you an example. Say you are given railways, they will ask why you have opted for railways, why not any other sector, why not telecom sector, why not energy sector or anything. So you should be prepared with the answer, like why you want to go in that vertical only, not of some other vertical. You should be well prepared for that. You should have an answer for that, and it should be a satisfying answer. Shouldn't be just skim the topic. You should be very thorough. You should be knowledgeable about that sector, that why do you want to do and what are you going to do there. First of all, that. Next, for people who are not employed, the final year project becomes important, because they will ask and they will try to understand what you did in your 4 years of your BTech, and the project that you did would reflect that. And you should revise your project very well and get to know all the technicalities, and what was your role in that project. Say it was a team project, 4-5 members were there, so what was your role and how did you contribute. And these things become important when it comes to final year project. And again, if you are not employed, so if you have a gap, if you might be a final year student, so this is not applicable in that case. But if you are having a gap, you have to be sure with the reason, like why you had a gap. Say you're preparing, so you should be upfront saying that I was preparing for this. And meanwhile, if you have a job or you're pursuing MTech, you can say I was preparing for engineering services, but at the same time I wrote GATE and I got through and blah blah blah, and I was doing MTech here. The next topic to be chosen to be prepared for is hobbies. It is one of the most important topics that one should prepare and be thorough about it, because this question is something that is usually asked. And even if you go through previous transcripts of students, aspirants, you will find that this question, hobby, has been repeatedly asked. So the hobby that you choose and that you select should be something that you should have enough time to prepare for it, as in, and to do it practically, so that you are, acquainted, accustomed to it. So first of all, you have to select a hobby. That is very, very important, because the topic is very important. People write for the namesake, they write that cricket is my hobby, but when question comes, they are unable to answer. So this should not happen. They should know about that hobbies, because you're supposed to do that in your leisure time, and you're supposed to have knowledge about it if you are actually doing it. So in this way, they can judge you if you are honest with the things you mentioned or not. So after selecting a hobby, you should have in-depth knowledge. Say you have chosen cricket, then you should know all the famous personalities, all the rules of the game, all the dimensions, including bat, wicket, ball, everything. And you should know the type of format that is being played, any new rule, any changes in rules, and everything. And you should be aware of the personalities about it. Say you have written singing, then you should be having a favorite singer, and you should be knowing his work, her work. Only then you can justify that you are actually a fan of that person. If you're trying to fake, they can definitely catch you. So you should be well prepared for it. And say you have written that your hobby is cooking, then you should practice it. You should familiarize with it, because you never know. The person in the panel may be well acquainted or well known. He has some experience. He has some knowledge about that field. So in that case, he can better judge you. So you should be familiarized with the hobby. Next topic comes current affairs. Here current affairs becomes very important, because the whole preparation part of it, we read current affairs only the prelims part of the exam, and then we leave it. For mains it is not required. But again, here comes current affairs. This time it is even more important, because the day-to-day happenings, they expect, as an engineer, as an IES officer, they expect you to know the things that is happening day-to-day around you. Are you aware of that or not? This plays a very pivotal role. So you should be well aware and well versed with what is happening around you. Daily news, newspaper you should read. Try to know any new things that are being developed, that is being discussed everywhere. Watch debates, watch news. Try to understand what is the current situation of the politics. And you don't have to be political in the interview. Try to avoid taking any side. Try to be neutral. But at the same time, you should know the policies, and you should know, like, when it was implemented, or if it is implemented or not. You should know that. Next is the magazine. Various coaching institutes or different online materials are available for current affairs. You can prepare with that. And some government policies that has been implemented from 2014, from the new government. So you should be well versed with that. Starting from 2014, every policy you should be well versed with that. They can ask anything. In my previous one of my experiences of the interview, they asked me about smart cities. Although smart cities was not in news at that year, but it was previously implemented 2 years back. So even then it was asked. So you are not sure, they can ask anything. That is why UPSC is called the most unpredictable exam. They can ask anything. So that is why it is suggested that you should prepare all the government policies from 2014 till date. Now next come mock interviews. Mock interviews are very much important, because they give an insight of your preparation. They tell you that what are the topics that you need to prepare well, what are your strengths, what are your weakness, and you should get the feedback and take it positively, whatever you get. So you should take the mock interviews, at least two, and you should give it seriously, like in a proper exam environment, interview environment, with proper dressing and everything. The second point, which says marks is more Maya. This is true. This is true because marks that the interview panel will give you, the mock interview panel, say they gave you 120 marks. It doesn't reflect the original marks. Although it usually does, but in UPSC you never know. I've seen people who have scored 130 plus in mock interviews and scoring 95 in final interview. Can you believe it? It is difficult to believe, but yet one should not be swayed away by the marks you get in the mock interview. But still, it is a good insight of your preparation, reflection of your preparation. And definitely the place you will be giving the mock interview, they will provide a video recording of the interview that you gave. And you try to get a third opinion. Show it to your family members, show it to your brothers, your sister, your friends, so that they can suggest any changes in the way of answering, the way of setting the posture, just speaking the language, anything, so that some nuances can be taken up and you can improve upon it. Because the third perspective is very, very much important. We can miss if we see it again a few things, but seeing it from a third person's perspective give it a different direction of your preparation. It will provide you a different insight, like, okay, I am going wrong here because people have pointed this out. So this is what you should do with the mocks. Now, it is a personality test, not an interview. Read this line 10 times. It is a personality test, not interview. Don't confuse it with an interview. It is a personality test. They're not here to test your knowledge. They're here to test your skills of your personality. How you reflect your personality. The points that I have mentioned here, posture, dressing, confidence. These things are important. Out of this, the most important is confidence. And as I've written the fourth point, language no bar but exceptions. No, language no bar, because usually they will comfort you by telling that you can speak in Hindi and English, but in some cases when the panelists are from South India, they won't be able to understand Hindi language, as most of the aspirants will be comfortable in Hindi. So in that case, you should try to speak in English as much as you can. If you are stuck at some point, you may switch to Hindi, but you should get back to English as soon as possible. But only in those cases where the people or the panelists, they are from South India and they are having difficulty in understanding your Hindi language. Otherwise, there is no restriction as such. But yeah, they expect that being an officer, you should at least know the basics of English language, that you can have a well conversation in that. Now, posture and dressing is important because it gives a first appearance. Your first appearance makes a huge difference. If you look clumsy and you look tired or maybe untidy, then the first impression becomes wrong. It goes negative for that candidate. So this shouldn't happen. So for that, your dressing sense you should be well dressed, well groomed, and your posture of sitting and the way of you speaking, everything matters here. And I am telling, confidence is most important, because it's not what you answer, it's how you answer and how you defend your answer. You may be telling something completely wrong, but yet if you are willing to take the responsibility, yes, I was wrong and I will try to improve. Or maybe you don't know something, then you can say that, okay, I don't know, but I will read it further. So this gives you a positive boost that yes, I may not be knowing this thing, but I am willing to learn. So your willingness to learn plays a key role here. So this is important. And after covering all the DAF topics, I think, and regarding the technical thing, I think when I share my transcripts in the next video, then we'll talk about the technical thing that has been asked. And here are some tips and tricks that may help you in the personality test. So first of all is, don't try to fool them, because they are at a very good and dignified position. They are professors from IITs, ISC research scholars, and the panelists, they have been in the bureaucracy for very, very long time. So you cannot fool them. They have been doing this for more years than you can imagine. So don't try to fool them. They are knowledgeable and they can catch you if you are fooling them. There's a thin line between confidence and overconfidence. Be confident, don't be overconfident. If you don't know something, you should be upfront by telling, I do not know, sir, sorry. But it doesn't sound as if you're overconfident. Okay, I don't know. The way of speaking matters. So try to show a bit humbleness and gratification. Cool. Next is the approach. In this, they don't test your knowledge, because for that prelims and mains has already been conducted and they have already tested your knowledge. Here the approach matters, because what type of answers you are giving, your approach, your thinking. They ask you about smart cities, then how are you approaching a smart city? What are your thoughts about smart city? How you are planning to improve? These things matter rather than your knowledge of smart city, right? Then about politics, as I already told, always have a neutral view on politics. Don't be very political about favoring one party over the other. Just come to the point, to the policies. If you think it is good. If not, be ready with the pros and cons of everything. You have to be neutral. Nothing is perfect. Next is prepare for the obvious. Obvious being all the topics that I've already discussed in depth. like these things they usually ask. You can find from transcripts and other sources that these are definitely asked. So you have to prepare for this. Technical thing they will ask. You have to prepare for this. So this thing is obvious. You have to prepare. Now don't leave the outliers. Outliers means those questions that they can ask without any, you might not be expecting such questions, but they will be asking, and you will be shocked to know how can they ask this. This is like completely out of syllabus or something like that. So you should be prepared for that. You shouldn't spend much time on it, but you should have an idea, as in you should be aware of it that it may be asked. It's a slight chance and they may ask. Next is the last I would like to say, because you need some confidence right now. You have to appear for the interview, so be proud. You have qualified the mains and you are among the elite. Very few people are able to do it, and you are among the elite. So have confidence, be truthful to yourself, work hard, follow the tips that I've given, and you will definitely succeed. Thanks a lot.